Hi, I'm John, a figurative arc. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be doing a painting demonstration of a male figure today. This pose and painting is kind of inspired by where I am in life right now. I'm approaching middle age, and I'm thinking about where I am in my life, about what I want to accomplish, what I have accomplished, what are some obstacles within myself that I need to work on, of changing the way that I approach things and look at things, and fears. The desert, going into the desert, is a classical example of different characters in literature and in history that have done that to get transformation. Because you have deprivation, you have challenges, and you really have to focus on the bare necessities, and that forces you to go inward where you aren't surrounded by lots of things that can distract you all the time like we do in modern life. The best example of that is our earliest known written story ever, which is the Epic of Gilgamesh. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh was a king, and when his friend died, he went out into the wilderness or the desert to wrestle with this loss of someone dear to him forever, and grappling with his own questions about death and how could he live forever. And so there are many examples of this, but that's the very first one. So I want to put someone who's very vulnerable, and being naked that's as vulnerable as you can get, and being in the desert. Will you go out naked into the desert? Now, some people actually do that. There are festivals where they literally do that and take off their clothes. But I'm also thinking kind of metaphorically, like, what are some experiences that we might have that really just focus on the bare essentials and in a challenging environment? Some people may go on a multi-day backpacking trip out into the wilderness. Other people may deprive themselves of something maybe as simple as like their smartphone, and not having that, feeling like, oh, I have to constantly have that. What if you went out without that for like even a weekend? Would you totally be lost? Would you be able to do that? There's a little jump there. I blocked in some of this color. It wasn't that exciting, so I just kind of cut to it. I'm going to try to pull this sky together here by doing this circular kind of colors, again, very loose, to try to blend all this together. But getting back to what I was talking about before about transformation, other people fast. I recently did the Camino, which was a spiritual pilgrimage from Porto, Portugal to Santiago de Compostela in Spain. That was transformational for me. I'm interested in people's experiences of what they do to help them change the direction of their life, or maybe just gain new perspectives on things that have happened. And sometimes, you have to put yourself in a different situation, which you're not surrounded by lots of distractions, to really focus on maybe just the journey. And through the journey, slowly you start realizing things that you didn't understand before. Adding a few more details here to the figure. On this channel, I show photography, painting, experimental film, but this is my story. What I'm telling you is a story about myself, about the things that inspire me. The male figure has inspired me for a very long time. A lot of my photography has been around that. Things I struggle with, I've shared that on the channel. The things that I'm trying to do to work those things out and be vulnerable. And so I hope that you will be willing to share your story, because that's what the artistic process and the creative process is doing. We're telling a story. And maybe for you, you're not a painter or photographer, but maybe you like to cook. You're telling a story when you cook. You had a passion for something and you're sharing that with someone who enjoys what you've done. That's powerful. That's creative. That's being an artist. Absolutely. I hope you'll share, because I'm just absolutely fascinated by people's stories and how the things that they do creatively come from the deepest places in their hearts. And it's beautiful to hear what that is for people, however that shows up for you. I hope you'll consider sharing that about, what are your desert experiences been like? Whether that's literal or metaphorical, places where you've really had to challenge yourself and you were deprived of certain things. What did that look like for you? The vulnerability of that, the nakedness of that, and coming out the other side of that. I don't know if you noticed here on this little thing I'm working on now. Originally, I thought that was going to be a cactus. It started as a cactus. And I said, no, I'm going to make it whatever that palmetto bush or whatever that thing is. I'm kind of making this up as I go. Other than, I knew that it was going to be in a desert. I kind of knew the pose. But all these kind of different elements, I'm not planning this out. And sometimes that happens too, in our journey, that maybe something spontaneous happens. Then that gives us a new insight. So it's not always planned. Now, like everything in life, sometimes you can overdo things. So that's always a temptation for artists, of piddling things something to death. And, maybe we do that sometimes where we talk too much. If you feel so led, and give a thumbs up if you like content like this, because it really does help the channel out tremendously when you do those things, and other people will find it. And consider subscribing. Hope to see you again soon. Toodaloo.